It seems you agreed, witting or unwittingly, to participate in a drama. But the main performance, the Russia hoax, has ended, and you've been cast in the low-rent Ukrainian sequel.
Ultimately, what we will need to decide, and what I hope members on both sides of the aisle in the House and if necessary in the Senate, what I hope members will think about is what do these facts mean for the future of our country?
Well, we're going to talk about must-see TV here, right? Valley Congressman Devin Nunes trading verbal haymakers with fellow California Congressman Adam Schiff, both leading the arguments for their respective parties for and against impeachment of President Trump. It's also now playing out in the court of public opinion. It's complex. Some of it is, well, gossip, and some of it is fact. And arguably all of it is the television event of our generation, the impeachment public hearings causing millions to pause and watch. That includes Fresno State political science professor Dr. Thomas Holyoke. How are you?
Good to see you.
I tell you what, I thought we should have a little history lesson here. We're going to do a little impeachment 101. So here we go.
Okay.
First off, we know this is a very rare, almost unheard of event in our country that we're playing witness to. Is it being done correctly, or is it a modern-day coup?
Well, it's hard to tell if it's being done correctly because it's happened so few times. I mean, this is only the third time in American history that we would have, if he's impeached, that we would have gotten that far. After all, Richard Nixon was never actually impeached. So the model they're probably playing with is the Clinton impeachment in the 1990s and using that. And you know, when Clinton was impeached, you know, House Republicans actually went pretty quickly because they had the Starr report to work with, so they didn't actually hold the kinds of public hearings that we're seeing today. So this is actually already unfolding in a different manner. So, but beyond that, it's hard to say if there's a right way or not.
You know, as we're hearing this, the public hearings, it needs to be proven that something has gone wrong here. But we are hearing from second, third, and fourth-hand knowledge. Why does that matter so much?
Well, impeachment is, as everyone's been saying, a political process. This is not the same as holding a trial in court. It's a political matter, but the case has to be made, and it's incumbent on House Democrats to do this, that the president has abused his power and is in contempt of Congress and is therefore unworthy of the office of president. If House Democrats can meet that goal, then presumably they vote articles of impeachment and then they send it to the Senate for a trial.
Are they doing that in your eyes right now?
It's still a little hard to tell at this point.
Okay.
I mean, they're bringing out a series of revelations and trying to build a narrative that, you know, President Trump, you know, systematically put pressure on the president of Ukraine for a political purpose rather than a purpose serving the national interest. If they can really sustain that and build a tight case, then they have something significant to send to the Senate.
What are we listening for as we sit here and we watch this? And I know a lot of people are getting bits and pieces, and some people are just getting the highlights watching our newscasts at the end of the day when they come home. So what are we listening for?
Well, basically, we're listening for House Democrats to see if they can make a tight case. That, you know, it's almost inconceivable that anything other than happened than Trump pressured the president of Ukraine to investigate the Bidens.
You say that because the impeachment vote in the House, as you know, did not secure one Republican vote, but two Democrats actually decided not to go along with the impeachment investigation and the inquiry. So does that mean it's automatically dead on arrival in the Senate?
Well, there's certainly no indication right now that Senate Republicans are willing to vote yes on articles of impeachment, which would result in the removal of the president from office. Senator McConnell says he'll take it up, they'll have a trial, but you know, right now there's no indication that the Senate would remove the president.
How much should we actually either see of the whistleblower or hear of the whistleblower? And I know that he's protected by law, but should we hear, even if it's behind a closed door? Should we hear from the whistleblower?
Well, the whistleblower, through his attorney, has offered to answer questions under oath, in writing, but still under oath. And that's probably the closest we would ever get, assuming that that is agreed to. But to actually reveal the whistleblower in terms of the whistleblower's name, that, well, that defeats the whole purpose of being a whistleblower, which means you're supposed to be protected and therefore encourage people to come forth.
You've already touched on the Nixon and how this is not like that, but it is. Some people have still called it Nixonian in a way. So how is it different, though? Because even though he wasn't impeached and he resigned beforehand, is it Nixonian in a way?
Well, it's like the Nixon business in the sense that, Nixon was engaged in a political act. I mean, the break-in of the Watergate Hotel was about something that the Nixon campaign had done. And then Nixon lied and covered it up. So in that sense, it's similar. Nixon wasn't being accused, though, of blackmailing the leader of another country.
As voters here, because some people's minds are made up. Some at home are watching this say, I know what's happening. And it doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on, but based on these three things, it must be overwhelming, it must be compelling, and it must be bipartisan. Has it touched all three of those, and will it change voters' minds?
There's been a little movement amongst voters. A bare majority of Americans appear to be supportive of the investigation, not of removal of the president from office. So House Democrats still have a big hill to climb on that. And as for getting Senate Republicans to join on, I think something much bigger needs to be revealed before Senate Republicans are going to start switching sides.
All right, so you love history books. I know you do. At the end of the day, how is the history book going to read on this one?
It kind of depends how things go electorally for House Democrats. Now, remember when House Republicans tried to remove Clinton from office, in the end it was House Republicans who suffered and Newt Gingrich who lost his speakership.
Right.
If House Democrats suffer that same fate in the elections next year, then history is going to show that House Democrats made a big strategic mistake. However, if this ends up wearing away at the president's popularity, which isn't all that great right now, then this could maybe be a tipping point that hurts the president badly in the 2020 election. Time will tell.
You haven't written that history book that I asked for, but hey, I'm going to have him back, Dr. Holyoke. We appreciate your time.
Anytime.
Appreciate it.